Quebec.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf.
NR6H, this is Anders in Folsom.
Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, James, Gold River.
All right, looks like we have a full cast here. That was November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob, Alpha India 6, Delta Golf, Joel, November Romeo 6, Hotel, Anders, and Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta, Carol, Kilo November 6, Quebec, November Juliet, James. Well, good evening to everyone, and thanks for checking in. All right, let's kick this show off, get it on the road, and I'll jump right into it, and we'll check on some other things with the YouTube folks in just a moment. But if I could invite Bob, if you're ready, why don't you go ahead with your image transmission?
Okay, this is going to be PD 120 N6 PGQ.
Net Control and 6EMF here has copied a wonderful photo from Bob. So thanks for sending that. I basically see a very thin bar of noise across the middle of the photo. I did hear the repeater key up, or actually superimpose maybe its call sign in Morse code, but I could barely see the effect of that in the photograph. I won't take any fun out of this, but it looks very interesting. Let's circulate. Let's find out what Joel thinks. AI6DG, how did you copy? All right, well, I'll check back with Joel. Jumping down to Anders. Welcome back, Anders. Missed you, I think, last time. And November Romeo 6H. How copy?
Thank you so much. This is Anders, NR6H, and I got a really good copy. Very few disturbances in the picture, clear colors, really good image overall. I heard that it sounded like somebody tuned up or something right in the middle, so there's a little bar there, but that's about it. I see a construction of, or a contraption of wood pieces and something that I first thought was hinges, but they look like they're welded to the rebar there. So this is obviously something that has to do with what happened a few days ago. We had St. Patty's Day, so this is Bob's leprechaun trap. NR6H, back to net.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for that, Anders. Sounds like you're back online, Joel. We missed you. Come again, N6NA FM.
Yeah, I've got a little program that I can use so that on the computer I can click on the PTT button and start talking. The only problem is it doesn't work during these nets because it collides. The running of that program collides or interferes or is interfered with by SSTV. And I forgot that. And I pushed a button and started talking, and all of a sudden I heard you coming back, and I said, well, what? Oh, darn, this isn't working. So let's try this again. I'm assuming it's working. Yep, I see the transmit on the radio, so I got to use the foot pedal. So yeah, someone's putting up a tower. So this is the form for the base of the tower for laying of the cement. So we got a form of wood with the rebar below them and the tower mount sticking above the frame. And there's a few extra pieces of wood, so it's a little confusing. Yes, burst of noise or something across the middle. Repeater IDing down below. Excellent reception otherwise. Yeah, and I thought hinges too when I first saw it, but no. And you can even tell that it's in the triangular form of the things sticking up. Yeah, tower, three-sided tower. And who's getting a tower? How tall? And how'd the permit process go? Back to net DI6PG.
Well, all right, let's hear about that in just a moment here. Thanks, Joel. Carol, KP4MD. I see the YouTube folks are up and viewing, and we've got Alf, KN6PRD, and Frank, W6NYX, and KP4 Carol, KP4MD Carol herself out there. So hello, everybody. Good evening. So Carol, how copy? Or I can see what you have, but what comments would you have for the photo?
Yeah, hi everybody out there in YouTube land, Frank and Alf also, and Wilson too. Yep, I have to agree with Joel. That looks like the base that they put in to the ground before they fill it with cement or concrete as a base for a tower. And I don't know if this is the tower that Bob has in his backyard. I know he recently had some work with a tower done there, but I don't think they had to redo the base. Anyway, back to you. This is Kill Papa for Mike Delta.
Yeah, very good. I like how they not used to seeing this kind of thing here, but this lumber strap or whatever the flat bar is with the mounting holes and welded to rebar. So I guess I haven't seen anything like that, or if I have, I don't remember. So pretty cool stuff. How about James, KN6QNJ? How copy?
Good evening, everybody. I have the same comments in terms of the noise and the repeater signal. Before we got the real answer, I was thinking somebody was building a transceiver mount for their ham shack, but then looking more closely under the wood, you see there's a big hole underneath. So I'm pretty sure it's not that. KN6QNJ.
right. Well, thank you for that, James. Well, Bob, you're up. N6PGQ.
Okay, well, everybody has probably done this process. You're right. It's the mounting base for a tower, and the wood frame is set up so that you can absolutely level the 3 bars so that your tower doesn't lean over. Below them in the hole is a rebar cage that you cover with concrete and let it set up for a long time and put your tower up. This is not my tower. This is Neil's KL7HQR's in his backyard, and I was helping him put it up. And one of the interesting stories for putting this tower up is that when my tower was put up, the workers and people that were helping would go down in the hole with a bucket with a rope on it, fill it full of dirt, and a person up on the top would pull it up and dump the dirt out and drop it back down the hole, and they'd fill it back up with dirt, and repeat the process over and over. Well, the guys that helped do the backhoeing and digging in Neil's were a little bit more organized, and they had a very large shop vac, and they just put the nozzle down the hole and sucked the dirt up, and when the shop vac filled up, they dumped it out and started over again. So anyway, this is a base for Neil's Tri-X tower, and so I decided rather than automotive pictures, I'd put something radio related. N6PGQ.
That's fascinating. I like the vacuum digging operation that was done there. Very cool. Any follow-up questions or comments for Bob's foundation work? All right. I don't see any on YouTube so far, and none among the cast members. So thanks for the nice photograph, Bob. Much appreciated. Inspiring. Well, Joel, AI6DG, you're up for transmission. Are you ready?
Actually, quick comment of double, triple check the measurement and the form. If you've got the tower base that bolts onto that, double check and compare against the two of them. You hear horror stories about templates being reversed and things being set up backwards and things not quite matching. So, yeah, do another check just before the cement goes in. And here's my photo, and I'm actually doing Martin 1 this time.
right. Well, Joel, it's Net Control N6 EMF, and I would say that it looks like something very mechanical, but before that, it's a substantially a black, yellow, and sort of white photo, or tones of gray, and it came out pretty good. It is fairly sharp, and it's, bunch of metal objects. Looks to me like a round gear reduction box. I could see all the gears and maybe the pinion, or maybe a chain in there off to the right, some nuts and bolts and screws or whatever, and a motor. I can't tell you what it is, but I want to say it's something automotive, but it probably isn't. It might be something related to possibly an antenna rotator, but I'm just throwing guesses out there. Looks like fun. Can't wait to hear more about it. And, well, let me turn it over to Anders going down the list. How copy?
I got an excellent copy. Very few pops in the picture. Was a little bit faster than the PD120, obviously, so less time to make pops. But yeah, very clear picture. Definitely decent color reproduction, and the resolution is a little lower since it's a 320 by 256, right? But yeah, I see a bunch of mechanical parts. Looks like definitely, like you said, gear reduction, and significant to that also. Quite a bit of reduction going on here. I don't know if it's ball bearings we see in the lower right bigger gear there. I guess that's the outer gear that eventually turns. And yeah, I would imagine this is something like a rotator. I don't know that an electric motor like this is anywhere in a car. So I would go with something that is positioning and rotating something, and maybe an antenna. That would make sense. And R6H, back to Nets.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anders. I kind of agree with you. More like ball bearings in the lower right as opposed to a chain. But I don't know how ball bearings would sit so nicely in a square format. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say. But it seems like those ball bearing looking things would sort of ride in the outer rim of the lower left-hand cup. So let's see. Carol, KP4MD, what's your impressions of the photo? I can see what you got on YouTube, which looks pretty good.
Yeah, I was, this is KP4MD. I was going to say this is obviously Joel's perpetual motion machine that he's working on. But I'm going to say maybe it's a disassembled antenna rotor. Just guessing from the shape of the casing and the ball bearing pile there. So back to you, KP4MD.
Well, all right. Thanks for that. That's going in the direction of my thought process that might be an antenna rotator component. So let's see. James, KN6QNJ, how copy?
This is James, KN6QNJ. Well, this is the prototype that H.G. Wells was using when he did his writings about time travel. Now, that's very clear to me. But if it is an antenna rotator, it looks like you can see where the ball bearings made marks in the, I guess, bottom half of the, or maybe top half of the unit in the lower left corner. The picture came through great, and I like the color and the lighting, that yellow hue. It looks really great. But anyway, excellent picture, excellent transmission, even for the speed. KN6QNJ.
All right, well, let's see. If this antenna rotator can rotate more than 300 million meters per second, I suppose you could do some time travel. You could probably predict something, so this will be fun. All right, thanks for that, James. We'll turn it back up to Bob, N6PGQ. How'd you copy?
Copy's good. Colors are good. Very, very few pixel pops. it looks to me like an antenna rotor too, all taken apart. Boy, hopefully AI6DG paid attention to how it came apart so we can put it back together again. N6PGQ.
All right, well, very good. I again, so we'll have to check with Joel, AI6DG. What is it you'd like to tell us about the secret contraption?
Well, my thanks to PA3GUO. This is for the picture of the inside of a Kenpro KR400 or 500 rotor. And so I just went up to the internet and did a quick image search and picked something, and this isn't one of mine. But it's probably brought on by me, the one I do have that I picked up at Pacificon last year, and me having to keep walking around it because it's sitting on the floor beside the bench, and seeing some of the rotors at the swap over the weekend. So the two things on the left, the top and bottom of the housing, I don't think that those color indentations are actually from the ball bearings, because the two round things on the right are the bearing races. So the ball bearings of which, yeah, they are kind of strange being in a square like that. I don't know what's holding them together like that. Go into the round races that you see face upward, those two round things on the right, and then those go into the inside of the two housings on the left. The stuff in the middle is on top is the motor, and then the gear reduction, all the gears that are on the right go on shafts between the motor on the top and the plate on the bottom, which goes on. You actually see the three posts standing up of the thing on the top. That's what the plate on the bottom bolts into, and the gears go in between on shafts. And that cutout on the bottom in the center, it goes around the motor. And then in the upper right, you see a pile of bolts and washers and nuts and things for the hardware that holds it all together. So I imagine this is pretty typical of rotors, at least from what I've seen. I've only taken apart and cleaned one before. I'm looking forward to taking apart and cleaning the one I've been walking around since last Pacificon. But it's very similar. The only thing I'm not sure about on this one is how the brake works. Usually there's an electrically operated brake that keeps the rotor from turning, and probably a resistor or something that lets the controller know its position. Everyone's a little different, but there's a lot of similarity in all rotors around. And the one I tried picking up at the Hamfest this past weekend was heavy as beep. Man, it must have been solid cast iron or something. It was heavy. Wow. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right. I guess it could be with that type of, you could use this as sort of a grain mill, what do they call it, pestle and mortise or whatever. So anyway, thanks for explaining that, and it confirms that it indeed is an antenna rotator component. And so, do we have any follow-up questions or comments? Maybe those ball bearings are magnetized, and that's why they're sticking together. Or maybe they're packed with grease. Maybe not. All right. If no comments or questions for Joel on the gearbox, we'll turn it over to Anders. Anders, NR6H, if you're ready to transmit, go right ahead. Let's have some fun.
This is NR6H, and this will be a PD120. And that didn't work, so I will end up at the end of the queue instead. NR6H, back to net.
All right, well, thank you for that. And I'll just jump down to Carol, KP4MD. If you're ready, Carol, you can go ahead and transmit. And Alf thinks that the ball bearings are held together by grease packing or graphite, and I think they're magnetized. But anyway, one or the other, or the three. So how about Carol? Are you ready? Well, it's November. It's N6NA Net Control, and I was able to copy about half of the photo, Carol. That was one that came in from KB4ND, and unfortunately, when Anders sent his image, mine I didn't get a chance to resync or reset the screen, and yours picked up and sort of 20% down the screen where Anders left off, and then it clipped your image. So maybe I'll have to research how to reset this. But what I do see is about the top third of the screen has your image there, and what I can see is probably the bottom part of your image, and it looks like a desktop with some sort of plastic container, like organizer-style container, maybe a tape measure stretched out across the space, and I can't tell what else is going on, but there's sort of a whiteboard in the back. So I'll turn it up to rest of KN6QNJ. James, how were you able to copy?
This is James, KN6QNJ. I got the full photo coming through. It replaced Anders' starting picture. I'm wondering, this is very interesting, because I see the space shuttle there on the table or the desk, the tape measure, and this has something to do with the Augie antennas, and maybe Carol, you were involved in picking which antennas should go on the outside of the space shuttle, KN6QNJ.
All right, well, thanks for that, James. And now I could see in my history file that it made two separate files, or two separate photos, with the top 2/3 and the bottom 1/3 in separate photographs. So I can now see the top, and I'm going to let this discussion continue, and I can see more now. So how about Bob, N6PGQ?
Well, the quality is really good. Some test equipment on the left and tape measure on the bottom, and of course the space shuttle on the very bottom lower right. I don't know exactly what Carol is planning. She has different lists of different antennas, or maybe different lengths on a Yagi, and some totals for those different lengths or different types of elements. So it's going to be interesting to see what Carol is experimenting with. N6PGQ.
Power reading here. Very good, Bob. Thank you. Joel, AI6DG, how'd you do?
Excellent reception, although a fair number of pops. We're looking at a YouTube video. The name of the video is on the upper left. On the bottom, you see the progress bar, and it looks like we're a third of the way through the video at 7 minutes 14 seconds of a 8-minute 56-second video. We're looking at a room, corner of a room, door in the background, stack of test gear on the left, stack of test gear on the right, countertop in between them on the front center with maybe a Tupperware or something sitting on the extreme lower left on top of that surface with a measuring tape going across, a model of the shuttle on the lower right, and in the center a whiteboard with a table on it. Mini Former is the title. Left column, original Yagi 5, Yagi 8, Yagi 5 EXP, I think, Yagi 8 EXP, parabolic, para Yagi 5, para Yagi 8, and then power numbers. The center column is power, the rightmost column is gain, and a label up at the top that says power reading here with the arrow pointing to the top piece of gear in the stack that's on the left. So I'm assuming we're testing different types of antennas, the gain of different types of antennas, although it looks like maybe they haven't started writing down the gains yet. They're just talking about the powers that they're going to be testing them at. Anyway, that's my guess. Back to Net, AI6DG. I look forward to hearing the rest of the story.
All right. Thanks for that, Joel. That's the NR6H Anders. I'll copy.
Good copy here. I got some evenly spread out pixel pops across the image, but still very readable, high resolution. I can read what's up at the top. It says antenna test compression, maybe, para Yagi, parabolic, Yagi range and extenders, and Yagi flying tips. And then, like Joel described it very well, so I'm not going to repeat all that, and some kind of antenna test, going through the motions here and doing a systematic test of various types of Yagis, clearly. And just a comment that I thought that my signal didn't get out. It was my monitor that didn't turn on, so I thought I was broadcasting a quiet carrier, but if it worked, then it worked. So I am ready when you are. NR6H, back to Net.
Right, well, thank you for that update, Anders. And when Carol is able to give her narrative on the photo, I will turn it back to you for transmission. Sound good?
Roger, roger. Thanks.
All right. Well, Carol, tell us all about it. What you got? N6EMF, KP4MD, N6EMF.
Okay, N6EMF, this is KP4MD. Anders and Joel pretty much figured it out. It's this is actually a frame grab from a YouTube video that has to do with an article that I recently put up on a web page. Has to do with antenna range extenders that are put on drone controllers. The drone controllers generally work on 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz, the Wi-Fi bands, and they're equipped with these little whip antennas, which are actually dipoles. What's inside the whip? It's a plastic whip, but inside there is a little printed circuit board with fan dipole, vertical dipole, with elements for 2.4 gigahertz and also for 5.8 gigahertz. So what happens is you've got dipoles on the controller, and then inside the drone that you're controlling, the quadcopter, there's also some dipoles. They tend to be a little printed circuit on sticky tape that sticks to the inside of the plastic body. And they have 2 antennas in the drone and 2 antennas on the controller for diversity reception to help resolve the problem with multipath fading. So one of the things that problems that we have, and I've experienced this myself, when we're flying in urban areas and suburban areas like in parks, is that you have a number of residences around that have a lot of devices that operate on the same frequency band. They'd be sharing they'd be having their house Wi-Fi, all kinds of Bluetooth devices, microwave ovens, of course, on 2.4 gigahertz. And there's just a whole slew of stuff going on there. And sometimes if we find that it's difficult, we start having problems with our control link. Because of that kind of interference, we'll get dropouts in the video feed. We'll get drops in the control, which is definitely a safety issue. If you lose control of a flying drone, it can cause a lot of havoc, that's for sure. So let me drop it a moment here. So one of the remedies for this, the equipment is operating under Part 15, which is allowed to transmit up to 1 watt of power without a license in those frequency ranges. So we really can't increase the power beyond that, because that would not be legal, and that would just be contributing to the interference to other users of the band. So what some people do is they stick these little adapters on top of the dipole, which turn the dipole into a Yagi to put gain in the direction of the drone, which does help tremendously. Some people, they use this sort of thing to drive their drones out to outlandish distances, which you're really not supposed to do. We're supposed to, by law, keep it always within visual line of sight. But there are some YouTube videos where people have flown drones out to like 5 miles or beyond, and they're testing these antennas and doing that. It's not recommended to do that. The reason I'm interested is I want to avoid the dropouts in control and to get clearer video feeds. And I found this video. Well, I did one study using antenna modeling software, and I posted that onto my website, my own website on QSL.net. And I was looking for evidence that the antenna modeling figures, comparing the Yagi antennas and the parabolic reflectors and this combination thing they call a para Yagi, I was trying to find if theoretically we could come up with some of the same figures that people were getting in their practical experiences that they were posting on YouTube. Well, I ran against this YouTube where a fellow was actually testing them in a lab environment. Let me drop it one more time. This is a business actually that works with RF. You can tell, the Mini Former. And you might see on top of that tape measure on the left, there is a yellow rectangular object. That is a Yagi antenna on a printed circuit board. And there's a coaxial cable going into that. That's feeding up into that microwatt meter that's up in the upper left-hand corner. And that's measuring the power being picked up from the transmitter, which is on the right side. On the right side is where they have a little parabolic reflector and a Yagi. It's kind of really fuzzy because it's kind of further away. But that's what they do. They have one of those adapters stuck on one of those little flat plastic dipoles that you have on the controllers. And what they were doing was measuring the field strength, actually the power in microwatts that was being picked up by this Yagi on the left. And they were swapping out these different adapters. The Yagi with 5 elements, the one with 8 elements. And there was another one with Yagi 5 special kind that had like 3 reflectors instead of 1, and then the parabolic, and then the parallel Yagi, I believe, is what they are showing there right now. It has that curved gold color reflector, and in front of that there actually is a in this case there's an 8 element Yagi for 5.8 gigahertz. So I found it interesting to watch this video, and I thought it would be nice to share this on the net tonight. Back to nets, KP for MT.
All right, well, a wonderful presentation on drones and controlling them and the apparatus for antennas. Very, very interesting. And I was wondering if anybody has any comments for Carol or questions. I got to get caught up on. I want to definitely watch this YouTube recording again for this section to pick up on this. And I think, yeah, you talked about how this is published on your website. And I think you posted something about this on Discord sometime this week, but I haven't been following it very carefully, so I'll take a look later. Thanks, Carol. Any comments or questions for Carol?
Question.
Go ahead, James. That was N6NA.
Carol, do you know what the tape, maybe you mentioned this, but what's the tape measure for in that picture?
The tape measure, it's not explained in the video, but it's pretty obvious that they're documenting the distance between the transmitter and the receiver antenna.
Copy. Thanks. N6NA.
All right. Any others? All right. Well, nice work, Carol. Thank you very much. Anders, N6NA. If you're ready to transmit, it's your turn.
N6NA, trying PD 120 again.
this time, oh, wow, I got you. Thanks for that, Anders. NR6H has successfully transmitted a photo this morning, and it looks like someone has constructed a new setback to kind of conceal or kind of cover or shroud garbage cans, basically, which is actually part of the codes for my area and probably Folsom as well. So you're supposed to have these things off the street and covered by a fence or behind a fence, and I think this is clever. So if this is work you've done recently, congratulations. And if not, let's hear more about it. Well, let's see, Carol, how copy?
Well, you could all see on YouTube what I've received, and it's pretty clear. Maybe about 5% pixel pops over the dark areas, and looks pretty nifty. See 3 pictures. There's 2 smaller pictures on the left side and a closer up one on the right side with DE NR6H diagonally there on the sidewalk, and 3 different colored garbage cans. So that's pretty nifty. Yeah, make people think that you don't generate refuse. That's not bad. Back to Nets, KP for MD.
All right, very good. Let's see, James KN6QNJ. How'd you do? How copy?
This is KN6QNJ. Copy came through really well. Normal amount of pixel pops. It looks like I'm interested to know if that's Anders or somebody else in the picture in the upper left. Somebody's crouching down in the middle, and I don't know if this is a self-portrait or somebody else helping with the construction of this camouflaging unit, KN6QNJ.
All right, that'll be interesting. And Bob, N6PGQ?
Well, I don't have a whole heck of a lot to add. Looks like a nice project. The wood's not warped, and the tops of the fences are all the same height, which is something that I would need to do. Nice job. Very few pixel pops. Quality came through. Everything's aligned, and looks good. N6PGQ.
All right, thanks, Bob. And yep, it does look good. And Joel, AI6DG, how copy?
Excellent reception, a few pops, dark background kind of emphasizes them. 3 photos. The right half is 1 photo, and the left half is 2 photos, top and bottom. The right photo is looking at the 3 garbage bins behind the little hide a fence. It's probably on the side of a house because I can see a gas meter on the right, so that's probably the side with the house and the sidewalk. So probably like the side of a garage or something. The lower left photo is probably from the backyard, looking at the opposite direction at the gate. So the right half is looking at the cans on the outside of the gate, whereas the lower left is the inside of the gate from the backyard. And I'm assuming that the upper left is some portion of the backyard, but I don't think it's related to the other 2 photos directly. Can't really associate where the upper left is, but you got a guy working on a deck or a fence or something. I'm curious what the 4 signs are that are attached to the fence he's working on. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, very good, Joel. I think we're getting closer. Right up to Anders, NR6H. What you got in 6EMF?
Well, all of you are certainly circling the truth here. It is the side yard of the house, and this is just a picture of where a very large portion of my recent time has gone into trying to convert this side yard. So all these 3 pictures are basically from the same area. The the top left picture is from inside, from the back of the house, so to speak, towards the front, and showing the whole area. This space here has been converted over the years that we've been here. We've been in this house for going on 19 years now, and it started out as just gravel, nothing special there, and then the kids were small, so it was a playground, and then it's been a pool area, above ground pool area. It's been different purposes over the years, and the old fence that you see me working on the ground there, I'm actually unscrewing the wood deck that is decking this area. So I'm taking out the old rusty screws, and we're getting rid of all that wood. And those frames there are actually pictures that the kids painted on directly on the fence when they were little. Short break. So now we're converting it again, and now we're reconstructing those fence, the inner fence there. There are actually two parallel fences. One, the inner one that I'm working on the ground near there. That's the one that was kind of shielding the garbage bins and the junk area from the rest of the yard. And then there's an outer fence that we have now also torn down. And we're only going to have one, so we get a big area back here. And eventually, the idea is to maybe put an RV on the side there. So that's really what's going to happen. So yeah, this has been my backbreaking project, putting holes in the ground to cement down the new fence posts. The gate is now swinging towards the house, or it's hinged and hanging in the house rather than hanging in the fence post. That was one of the inventions here, to get more space right outside the garage there. And one funny detail was that the frame for the fence, the previous frame for the fence, was nailed into the stucco of the house. So it was really rattly and really bad. Now my new treated board there, 6x2 board, is screwed with big screws into the frame of the house, so that thing is never moving. So this is my little project, NR6H back to net.
I can certainly appreciate the labor involved in getting this done. So, Anders, congratulations on getting this wrapped up. It looks great. It really does. It looks like you poured a lot into it, and I can appreciate it. So, nice work. Let's see, what else do we have out there for comments or questions for Anders?
Comment.
Go ahead.
This is obviously a lot of work, but Anders, what I don't see are any capacitors, inductors, resistors. Where did you put those?
Well, the light system is going to come up here soon, so obviously there's going to be motion sensors that light up the space when you walk out with the trash. That's obviously happening. Also need to run power to the outer side of this whole thing, so that I can have a place to plug in power tools and stuff like that. And you can see, if you look careful, I think you can see the receive antenna in the top right of the big picture there. There is a disc cone antenna right up there. You can probably maybe see it. I don't know if the resolution is enough. But yeah, there is some electronics involved. NR6H back to net.
All right, very good. Anything else? Once again, thanks, Anders. Wonderful photo. I got quite a few pixel pops that didn't state before, but definitely sharp enough to get the essence of everything there. So, James, I'm going to call on you for transmission, KN6QNJ. If you're ready to go right ahead.
This will be PD 120.
felled trees. How's that? That's I was able to copy some tall trees that maybe got cut down or fell down one way or another. I'd have to guess they're pines. I don't know for sure, but that was from James, and a few pixel pops here and there. The sharpness was probably like a 7.5 out of 10, but I can see, kind of a forest landscape with a small shack in the background. So it looks good. Let me turn it over to Bob, N6PGQ. How'd you copy?
Well, the quality of the images came through very, very well. It looks like there's a cabin in the left middle, maybe a couple of lawn chairs on the front or something to that effect. Trees look like they've been felled recently. The wood looks nice and white in the middle. It's possible that these might have been burned in a fire and cut down to get rid of the excess wood, although it may be just the lighting in the picture. Anyway, very good quality, nice picture, N6PGQ.
All right, Bob. Well, thank you. AI60G, Joel, how copy?
Forest scene, probably pines of some kind. Foreground, bottom half is foreground, kind of on a slope. We've got a kind of a mid-sized stump dead center and one to the left of that, almost on the left edge of the photo. And between them, going from left to right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 trees that have been cut down and are going to the right. 3 of them look damaged bark, so they've been dead a while before they were cut down. In the background, yes, we've got a small hut or cabin, very small. I'm not sure I would call it a cabin, but it's definitely a building with a blue roof, orange or yellow door, red chairs in the front porch, white-sided building, and maybe even a road going up to it. It looks like there's kind of a path through the forest that's flat and going up to it, maybe tire tracks or in the foreground in the dirt, or a tree place where the turf's been disturbed from a log being dragged across. Looks like a nice quiet spot, and it's spring or summer, no snow. Yep, nice place to retreat to for weekend. Back to net AI6PG.
Sure does seem like a nice place to retreat. Thanks for that, Joel. And Anders, NR6H, how copy?
Excellent reception, very few pops, pretty sharp image, good colors. I would like to add that it looks like the terrain is dropping off pretty sharply beyond that little cabin there to the left. Don't know if it's, at least it kind of looks like it drops off there. And then I don't know if it's the perspective or the size of the trees or something, but it looks like the cabin is really small. Maybe even it's a playhouse. I mean, it looks like it's too small for the trees where it is, but maybe that's just how it's placed between the trees there. Don't know where this is, but looking forward to know more. NR6H, back to net.
All right, thanks for that. And Carol, I can't see YouTube right now, but what would you say about the photo? KP4MD and 6EMF.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I really can't add any more than what Joel added. Joel is so familiar with these kinds of environments. I think he should perhaps have been a forest ranger. He sees everything and he can identify everything there. It's an ideal place for summits on the air, parks on the air, backpackers that go hiking out there in the wilderness. When I normally see something like this, what I think of is Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and poison sumac. That's what it inspires in my mind. So back to you, it's KP for MT.
All right, thank you, Carol. And so KN6QNJ, this is James. I think if you would like to tell us, what have you got? What would you like to share on the photo?
Well, Joel did an excellent job of describing what you see. This is a picture I took yesterday. My wife and I were camping near Nevada City, and these trees were felled because of the bark beetle infestation, which has been largely caused by the drought in California. So we were camping right there. It's a great place for Parks on the Air or anything else that Hams could do. In fact, I did an Aries check-in from there on Monday. But we were sitting out front of our trailer, and the tractor was pushing, not pulling, the logs down and off this hill. But they've been, it's very sad to see what's going on with the bark beetle infestation. So not much more than that. With regard to the hut in the back, you can, if you don't want to sleep in a tent or if you don't have a trailer or an RV, you can rent that canvas hut, which has a bed and electricity, and that's it. Probably would house 2 to 3 people comfortably. KN6QNJ.
All right, well, the bark beetle, oh my. So, thanks, James, for that update and for sharing something off the beaten path for Slow Scan TV tonight. Did anybody have any follow-up questions or comments for James? Well, all right. I struggled tonight with the photo once again, Cass. So if you give me just a moment, I might just send one and kind of expedite around so that we don't run too late. I've got my DB fade going on, so I'd like to probably wrap up pretty soon. I'm going to send a black and white 8. It should only take 8 seconds, and hopefully it's just a little bit of fun to get a little bit of a chuckle out of the cast and the YouTube viewers. And if you'd like to comment, I'll just turn it over for opens and rounds. How's that? Here it comes, BW8. Let's just open the floor and see if there's any questions or comments. I hope everybody got it. I don't see it yet coming in on YouTube. Could be because I'm not tracking currently for YouTube. Check with Bob. Were you able to just indicate whether you received an image?
I received an image. It came through real quickly. It's quite out of focus on my computer, but I can kind of figure it out. It says N6NA Slow Scan SSTV Cast, March 20, whatever that is, 3rd, I think, 2022. I guess I could guess and say it's 23rd. And it lists the call signs of the people that are there and the call signs on the YouTube viewers. So it came through real quickly, and it's kind of amazing how fast stuff can come through. Obviously, very few pixel pops. N6PGQ.
Oh, I appreciate the feedback, Bob. And now I can see. Thank you. I can see on YouTube what Carol can see. I'm going to send it once again on black and white 12 and see if it snaps up a little clearer, and then seek to close out the net. I appreciate your feedback. Just an indication to me how much text you pack in there. Hopefully this one came out a little bit clearer, but we won't go through the whole cast for comments this time. Again, I'll be seeking to close out the net here, and I'll look on YouTube and see if I can see the results, but so far I can't see them. Oh, it's quite a bit better, so yeah. Thank you, Carol, for being there with the YouTube catcher's net. All right, so I'm going to say thank you to all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. Near and far, we hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Carol, thanks a lot for setting up and monitoring with the YouTube and getting it recorded. And say goodnight to all the viewers. And this net is officially closed at 10 o'clock and 10 minutes Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot. Wilson, wishing all of you a good evening. 7-3.